If everyone could find a seat and let's get started. This is the first of a series of conversations that we're having that is a little more formal than what we've done before. And how we are going to do this today is I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes, and then we move to table talks, and then Jake's going to talk for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to move to table talks and close. So that's the format of what we're doing, and really excited about this time because, number one, it's just not me speaking the entire time. It is a mix. What is the topic is artificial intelligence and the human imagination. And I believe that it's a relevant topic for all of us to discuss and consider, and it's going to be done from two different perspectives. And so I'm going to give one perspective, and then you're going to give a perspective around your tables, and then Jake's going to give a different perspective, and then you're going to give a different perspective. So I guess 4 different perspectives that you will be talking through. So I hope that you enjoy this. It's going to be done in a TED Talk style, and so I'm just going to give the topic, give the subject, give the description, and you're going to discuss the prescription. So I'm going to give the description, and you're going to discuss the prescription. So this is how it's going to go. When I was a kid, when I was young, I had a closet full of Tinker toys, giant Tinker toys made of wood. My brother and I could build anything, a house, a car, a spaceship. Actually, recently I looked up to see if I could buy a set of these giant toys, and the only place they are available is on eBay in the vintage toy category. To my parents, it looked like a mess of wood bricks and rounds and sticks on a hardwood floor. To me, it was an imagination. It made me alive because I was 5. My brother and I borrowed our dad's extra trash cans one day, and we decided to fill them with water. And we had this wash culvert behind the house, and we were convinced if we filled this with water and put all the tadpoles in the wash in our trash can sanctuary, it was going to be the greatest science experiment known to humankind. Hundreds of tadpoles later, and in a moment of frustration and needing his trash cans back, my dad took the trash cans in our science experiment and dumped it in the backyard and the gardens and the fruit trees. We were angry. We were upset. But within days, to my amazement, our experiment worked. The backyard had transformed into a sea of tiny frogs, hopping everywhere, and we were hopping because my imagination had come to life because I was 7. So when I look back and I realize some things with those 2 events in my life, that imagination, that desire to create is more than play. It was more than play. It actually, I believe, was spiritual. And some people make the argument that imagination is divine. It's actually godlike. So if you fast forward to today, our building blocks aren't just wooden rounds and sticks and trash cans and frogs and tadpoles and such. They're algorithms of information, they're algorithms of misinformation, and a platform, what's called artificial intelligence, taking what used to be created by human beings and turning it to digital outputs. So now the question that I have to face in my age is not just what can we build in life, in our future. The question is, what does this all mean? What does technology mean to my humanity, my relationships that I have, which all has been in a crisis in the last since 2007? Our communities, and yes, even my spirituality, what does it mean to that? How does it affect that when machines become partners in those things, especially my imagination at 52 years old? So imagination has always been sacred. It is considered the image of God, and it's how people wrote the ancient texts of Scripture across every faith tradition, painted cathedrals, carved sculptures, built communities, made the wonders. If you've ever been to a man-made wonder and you sit there in awe, it's made with imagination. It's invented the amazing, literally, and the songs and the stories that literally shaped civilizations is all because of imagination. And AI, artificial intelligence, is stepping into that space. So a novelist can ask artificial intelligence for ideas, and it creates ideas. A doctor can design new treatments and write medical plans. A designer can create thousands of variations within a short period of time. An engineer I watched actually did calculations within seconds. A preacher can come up with 4 points and literally write an entire sermon all out of AI and not out of their head. So I want to say, it's not necessarily, I don't want to say, it's replacing imagination. I do want to say, and I don't want to say, it's amplifying imagination, but I actually am not sure where we are at in our relationship with technology anymore. But here's the thing, this is what I do know, is artificial intelligence and technology doesn't hold meaning at all. It doesn't hold meaning. It can write a prayer, but it can't pray. It can compose a song, but it cannot sing from the heart. It can compose a love song, but it cannot love. So the heart and the spirit still is the human being. I have to make that claim because will we, and here's the question, will we use artificial intelligence to deepen the spirit within us, strengthen our communities and our relationships, to serve one another, or will we use it to isolate and divide, to diminish what truly makes us living human beings? So here's where it gets fun. Imagine waking up and you're in your home that adapts to your rhythm. The light adjusts because you have the hue. The coffee brews stronger today because AI noticed that you didn't sleep well because of your smartwatch last night. At work, instead of drowning in email, AI summarizes your email and even responds, that's occurring today. In school, potentially, every child learns at their own pace and nobody's left behind. In healthcare, diseases are spotted years before symptoms appear. That's actually right on the cusp. We're on that cliff. Diagnoses are given, prognoses are projected, treatment is planned, all through artificial intelligence. Crime is solved. It's not science fiction. I think that that's in our near future if you ask the experts out there. But let me ask you this, who owns that everyday life? That's the question I have to ask. Who actually owns that life? Who decides those rules? Who decides that big picture of how your life's going to be regulated? So AI can give us more time for relationships and family and community and such, but only if we design it that way. And technology is dangerous, and it's a dangerous commodity, let's call it, if only used for efficiency. If only used for efficiency, there's a lot of things with AI that's hinging on ethical understanding and the value of technology. So here's where it gets complicated. So that was the fun stuff. This is the complicated stuff. AI learns from us, from our data, from our inputs. Every search, every photo, every purchase. The algorithms are at the heart of our artificial intelligence. Therefore, it also learns our biases. So first, data is collected, what you like, comment, or share, how long you watch a video, what accounts you follow, what you search for on Google, and even the device you use, the location you're at, and the time of day. Then it begins to look for patterns. The algorithm looks for the patterns in your behavior. If you linger on those cooking videos, or if you're looking at designs on Pinterest and such, then it learns that you're interested in food and new bathroom remodels and such things like gardening and not gardening. So you don't spend time on those things. It also learns that you don't like those things. So if you scroll past the highlights of sports and you're not interested, it learns that you're not interested in football, soccer, or baseball, which is a crime. Machines learn models. Models then learn the machine. Groups of users with similar behavior begins to predict what you are likely to engage with, and then it ranks those things. It has a pool of content, and that pool of content that it could show you, but you don't have time for that, so it content ranks maybe 1 to 10, and then the algorithm scores what you are looking most at based on relevance and engagement and what's trending and what's not trending, and the relationship you have and what your friends are looking at and what you're looking at. And the result is this personalized content feed, this personalized internet. That's why you can open up an app and I can open up an app at the same time looking at two complete different worlds. And honestly, if algorithms are at the heart of AI then moderates, curates, and then recommends. See, algorithms are motivating and charging our biases, our information, our preferences, and those become our echo chambers. It's like standing in a grain silo, screaming at the wall of an empty silo, and all of that is echoing just right back into your brain. Our echo chamber then becomes our own truth. Even if it's not true, it's still our truth. And even though those truths aren't true, they shape our ideological dogmas. And then, as you've seen, we begin to performatively mourn. We begin to performatively celebrate people, ideas, and thoughts that don't even affect us, that we don't even know, that we're not even engaged with. And we like things and not like things. And we retweet and tweet things. We comment with shame and support, and we add or don't add to our stories. Things that honestly, yesterday didn't even cross our minds, but today they are affecting our very souls. And I have to ask, why? Well, the consequence of that is shown, it's real, where these types of behaviors, political polarization, mental health crises, addiction, discrimination, manipulation through misinformation. I think everyone needs to pay attention to this, because honestly, these things and what's happening doesn't reflect my human heart nor yours. Because if I know you and you know me, there's something else that's regulating these things. And the 10 companies that control our economy, the result of this reflects power forcing our society to chase after stimulus and shame, and now what's called rage bait. Rage bait is more attractive than sex, more attractive than porn, more attractive than really, I would say, addictive substances of all kinds. And the data is clear. It's very clear through books like The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. People can turn to violence. People can be shamed to suicide. Their addiction exacerbated. Think about this. Facial recognition technology struggles with darker skin. The darker skin tone exhibits basically significant higher error rates of people of color, black and brown, especially women, compared to light-skinned men. So that creates a data set in facial recognition. Biases then stem from these algorithms being trained on unrepresentative data sets, skewing the data and the preferences and biases towards lighter skin, leading now, they know, to problems so far as false criminality. That's dangerous work. Hiring algorithms that favor men over women, toxic speech being fed into a feedback loop, spoken back to you like that's now okay. So the question is not just how can AI imagine? That's not my question. It's whose imagination does AI serve? That's the real question. And if left unchecked, I believe there's risks that can amplify information fueling our darkest of violence, hate, and cruelty. So the ethics of AI, if you study that for a moment, it's not technological, it's actually turning to spiritual and moral, which needs to be discussed. Many religious traditions teach this: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, AI will do unto us what we've trained it to do. So where does that leave us? I think we need to install some brain software. How do we install the brain software of transparency, accountability, equity into our brain systems? Well, let's talk about the fear. Is AI, is all this technology going to replace my job? Is it going to take away my job? Will AI take and replace workers? It already writes emails, it drafts contracts, it creates pictures, composes music. I had the luxury on Thursday to write a promissory note out of it, and last week write a letter of recommendation and write my emails and check my grammar. So here's the truth. AI can mimic creativity, but it cannot feel meaning. So it can write a sermon, but it cannot stand in a pulpit and tremble at the weight of grief and hope. It can generate a melody, but it cannot sing where hearts are breaking at a funeral. Imagination isn't just about producing output, it's about weaving together experience and wisdom, and I've always believed that our experience and wisdom, whether we are 5, 7, or 52, weaves together to create something more. And so the future isn't, I believe, humans versus AI, it's humans with AI. AI handles the repetition and the outputs, but we bring compassion, relationship, and love. And that's why compassion, relationship, and love are even more important than they've ever been in the past. So think about AI as a mirror and a canvas. A mirror and a canvas. The mirror, it reflects who we are, our beauty, our prejudice, our brilliance, our flaws, and sometimes that mirror shows us painful realities. As a canvas, it's a blank space. We can project things of new future, cities that are sustainable, communities that are inclusive, dialogues across cultures and faith traditions, conversations around all of that. But here's the truth. AI is only the mirror and only the canvas. The brushstroke, the imagination, actually how it's used is left up to us. And so if that's the description of what's fun and what is fearful and what is challenged and what is good, then what is the prescription? I would say that's done here at the table. It's done with information that can be formed as a community. What are we going to do with such technology? Some of you are in this field. Somebody came up to me right before I started and they said, I'm a little bit hurt. I deal with this every day. You didn't even ask my opinion. I should have asked their opinion because probably they're dealing with what to do. I want you to deal with what to do. I think in that process, though, there's some commitments that we need to make. First, as my friend Bethany always tells me, stay curious. I think we need to stay curious, approaching AI without fear, because the question, are we really there? Are we really here? I think with politics and social issues and cultural dilemmas, that's the question. Are we really here? Are we really living in this time? I think that question needs to change to, we're here and we need to find out more. That's staying curious instead of being confused. Be curious. How can this tool expand love and creativity and belonging? But then we have to be courageous. Having the will to regulate, to pull ourselves off, to set limits, to say no to technology when it threatens dignity and justice. But then the filter, what filter am I going to use? I can stay curious. What is this all about? I can be courageous. I'm going to take a break. But then The third is the filter, the compassion-based living that I want to live through the filter of compassion, remembering that the point of all technology, if I live this way, is not efficiency, it's humanity. And if I can stay, this is for humanity, then my result, my conclusion, my action becomes much more healthy. The true measure, I think, of progress is not faster machines and better technology. It's stronger communities, more resilient humans, more loving relationships. And we know that from our spirituality. So when artificial intelligence is guided by curiosity, courage, and compassion, it doesn't threaten the imagination. It doesn't threaten the spirit in us. It actually can multiply it if you allow it. So if you haven't noticed when you talk about such things, when you get on Google and it has the AI box at the top, or if you get on Canva and you create an AI picture and it just pops up so cool, all these pictures. Or if you get on some chat GPT or some information and you just plug in a couple of prompts and it produces this gorgeous email that making my emails to the school district read like I actually took elementary school English. True story. We tell stories like that. They're odd. It's fragmented. Sometimes it makes no sense. It's clunky. It's weird. Did you notice this? Did you hear this? Did you see this? You know you can do this. I was calculating things just the other day and I was reacting going, it just calculated that for me. I can't believe now I can just type in how to find the area of a parallelogram. When was the last time you needed the area of a parallelogram? I needed that just the other day. Why would I need that? When would I know that? Why would I receive and carry that information? But I just plug it in and it tells me exactly what the area of a trapezoid parallelogram triangle is. I haven't taken math in years. The beauty is in our reaction, I think. We laugh, we wonder, we debate, we connect with all of these things. And that, I believe, is the true potential. There's nothing wrong with being a friend, like, post, reshare, look. There's nothing wrong with that. There's true potential. Not to tell a story for us, but to help us and invite us into a larger, I think more human and more imaginative and divine story, telling it together and how our imagination can be amplified, because this is what I truly believe. If we choose wisely, I think over the last decade we haven't chosen wisely. Yet if we choose wisely, our human imagination and such things like artificial intelligence cannot just open up a technological revolution, because that's what everyone's focused on. I think there's a spiritual renaissance that could happen as well. I think there could be an imaginative, prophetic imagination that could be our future. Let's talk about that around our tables for 7 minutes. That's how long we're going to take. There's questions. I'd like you to think through these 5 questions, and if you want to create your own questions or just talk about it openly, you can.
For context, a show of hands, who uses AI every day?
Every day?
Every day.
I'm sure I do.
Every day? Anybody? If your hand is not up, I don't know if you understand what AI means. And so hopefully by this end of this talk, you'll see that it is in all of our daily lives from the beginning to the end, that we all use it every time we open our phones, every time we go to our computers, every time that we interact with email, every time that we send or receive a text message. We are interacting with artificial intelligence. So when I was a kid, I didn't have Tinker Toys. That was well beyond my time. So the title of my presentation is The Millennial Response to the Gen Xer. Kevin being the Gen Xer. What was your favorite toy growing up?
Legos.
Legos.
Lincoln Logs.
Lincoln Logs, yeah.
A rock.
A rock.
Sounds about right.
Bill crawled out of his cave. Rocks, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Anybody else? Army men, okay. Think of the earliest toys that we remember and how those were building structures. And that our human capacity is to create and to build and to grow. Legos, bricks. I think of Oliver's room right now. It is a complete construction zone at all times. In the early years, I had Legos and say again. Yeah, I had Legos and a huge yard. We needed space to run without adult supervision. Only a couple bones were broken. We built forts, rode anything with wheels, and conquered every tree we could scale. It was raw, it was rough and basic, but it was ours. Our play did not come with a terms of service agreement. Imagination was the main ingredient for being a kid. It was our default operating system. Grade school, middle school, I was engrossed in computer games. I remember the Christmas that I opened up the brand new PlayStation 1. I was 7. Actual months of playing role-playing games. Final Fantasy, Grand Theft Auto, Diablo, all of them. I found myself in another dimension, but it's one that I can control and turn off when I was no longer interested. With friends, some of my most fondest memories was staying up late and playing GoldenEye and Smash Bros. That was my childhood. I think of the social changes that all of us in this room have been a part of. AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, MySpace, and trying to be on the top 5 friends, Facebook, hot or not, Twitter, Xbox Live, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and the list continues and continues. 2 years before I graduated high school, Facebook changed from only allowing .edu addresses to let anyone join. And at that moment, I believe the world drastically changed. Everyone at that point had a voice, good or not good. It's still in the balance. What was once newspapers and books to spark our creativity and to gather information, it now gets filtered through someone else's digital platform. I've become somewhat of a Luddite with social media and gaming. It's not from desire or acumen or ethics. It's the amount of time that I don't have. I don't have a personal social media account, but the amount of time that I still spend on social media is shocking. I do not belittle anyone for doing these things. What's right for me is different than what's right for you in those type of veins, in moderation, I believe. With all of this, though, I can't help but ask, are we really expanding imagination with AI? Or are we outsourcing one autocomplete suggestion at a time? Are we really expanding imagination with AI? Or are we outsourcing one autocomplete suggestion at a time? It was said earlier that AI amplifies imagination. It can help spark ideas, sure, but the act of creating, is that idea owned and created by you? Or is it owned or created by someone else? Are you plagiarizing what makes you human, your ability to create? It can write beautiful things, prayers, songs, liturgies, but can it sit with you on a couch and weep with you? Can it wrestle with doubt and fear in the middle of the night with you? It can be your counselor and help you think through difficult concepts and emotions. And honestly, I have used it for this. But it can't hold your hand through the process. It lacks heart. Becky just recently shared an article from the New York Times about AI chaplaincy, interfaith, that anyone can log in, explain where they're coming from, and they can interact with an AI chaplain. And it's helping people through real emotions. And so we have to weigh it. What's important? Because here's the thing about imagination. If imagination is sacred, then maybe we should stop handing it over to systems designed to harvest attention and monetize curiosity. It's easy to say that AI amplifies creativity. Most of this has to do with the time that it gives back to you by automating your workflow, and that's really important. It's harder to admit, though, that AI might also flatten creativity, make it formulaic, predictability, optimized for engagement and productivity, not depth. Not everything that we have needs to scale. Some things, like soul, like struggle, should stay slow. Slow. Let's talk about this. AI is everywhere. And I think most of us understand that it is everywhere, and we interact with it almost daily, all the time. Do we need lights, like Kevin said, that self-adjust? I have them, and they're wonderful. Yes, I do. Do you need your schedule to be changed or your coffee to be brewed stronger, automatically adjusted because your smartwatch tells it to? That would be nice, yes. People are saying no, but I think that would be great. Do you need AI that automatically responds to your emails, edits your photos, handles your kids' homework? Do we need this? Some people do, some people don't. It sounds nice, and honestly, I use AI for these things often. It sounds amazing, but so did social media in 2006 when we all jumped on the bandwagon. And right now, we know how that is turning out. New York Times, and Kevin said earlier that AI is being used to solve crime. New York Times just put an article about the NYPD tracking people forever. And they have systems and diagnoses for every single person. And to go out and look at that, it's on New York Times. I think most of us here subscribe to it. Let's not pretend that tech and this tech is neutral. It's not just helping, it's also watching, tracking, learning, predicting, all in the name of convenience. But convenience isn't always good. Sometimes it's just a fast track to disconnection. If AI is going to run our homes, our schools, our jobs, then we better start asking the harder questions. Who's profiting? Who's being watched? What's being recorded? And who's being erased? Who's profiting? Who's being watched? What's being recorded? And who's being erased? Because the AI future isn't something that we just wake up to. It doesn't just happen. It's something that's being built, something being sold. And right now, we are not the consumer, the customer, we're also the product. And we have to really understand that. So let's be real. AI is trained on us, and we are messy. So of course, it learns biases. AI learns biases. And there are research institutes that follow the political leanings of most AI tech. Grok right now is on the controversial conservative bend and is being pushed that direction because the amount of information that is put into Twitter. You can't pour racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia into algorithmic greed into a machine and expect it to spit out a utopia. That's not how it works. Algorithms is our new tribalism. Although it's not a tribe that we were born into or chose, it's a tribe that we were sold into. Minorities and the disenfranchised are continually being subjugated by AI. I think about the Myanmar genocide a couple years ago that was fueled only by deepfakes and false information on social media. And right now we have the issue of two Charlies. As I look in this room, we only see one Charlie, most of us. But there are two Charlies being put out, the saint or the bigot. And right now, where you stand on that social spectrum is the only thing that you're seeing, and the other side is the only thing that they're seeing. One can't understand why, if you have all this information, why you think this, and the other is saying, if I have all this information, why do you think this? And it's because of algorithmic substances. Every smart chatbot can turn toxic faster than you can say, let's keep it civil. And yet we keep calling AI intelligent, as if intelligence and wisdom are the same thing, and they're not. Wisdom involves accountability, and AI hasn't proven that it deserves our trust yet. People say, don't worry, AI won't replace you. I'll partner with you. Okay, cool. But what does partner mean when one side holds the power? So let's not gaslight ourselves. Jobs are being automated. Artists are being undercut. Writers, coders, musicians, they're watching their life's work get remixed into something unrecognizable and sold back to them by a startup. This isn't about a fear of the future. It's about respect for what is human. Because yes, AI can generate an essay or a eulogy, but it can't stand in the tension of grief and hope of delivering that speech. It can write a song, but it can't connect communities when it sings it. Meaning doesn't come from output, it comes from embodiment. And AI has no body, no breath, and no heartbreak, just prediction currently. I hear this a lot. AI is a mirror and a canvas, which is a great metaphor, but mirrors can distort and canvases can be co-opted. We act like AI is some neutral tool waiting for human ethics to guide it, but let's be honest, we are struggling right now with human ethics by our leaders. So do we really want them in control of the information that we receive? AI is not being shaped in our communities, centers, our co-ops, by the people. Right now, AI is being shaped by the highest bidder and is being built on venture-backed labs with pressure to ship faster, scale bigger, and monetize everything. We are not drawing on a blank canvas. We are drawing on someone else's whiteboard, and we do not have the eraser. So I want to call to remember what's sacred. Where does this leave us? Honestly, it leaves us a little tired, a little suspicious, and still holding on to what matters. But here's what I think we need. We need three. Do I have three things? Three things. We need boredom. Boredom is described as the muse of creativity in Eat, Pray, Love's author's Elizabeth Gilbert's TED Talk. If we are not bored, if we do not sit in that tension, creativity is not sparked, and we have to sit there. Be dutifully doubtful. Be dutifully doubtful. Ask the hard questions always. Who is making money off of our data and ourselves, and do you want them to? Be dutifully doubtful. The third thing is to have empathy. Tech doesn't love us, but people do. Being able to grieve and commiserate with another person is what makes us human. Being able to laugh and experience joy is what makes us human. We can't code heart yet, and AI won't save us yet. We will. We have to. For closing, let's talk about something that we usually don't associate with artificial intelligence, the environment. Some of our algorithms might put that in front of us, but some may not. Believe it or not, every time we use AI, whether we're asking a chatbot a question or running a smart recommendation search engine in the background somewhere, a data center is working very, very hard. And these data centers get very hot. And so to keep them cool, they use an enormous amount of water, hundreds of thousands of gallons just to train one large AI model. And often that water comes from the same municipalities that we rely on to drink, to farm, and everyday life. And coincidentally, most of these data centers are in places that are, right now, Prineville is a huge data center, right? So places that don't usually have water, we are putting these places there. And so the load on that system is so great. This isn't just a tech issue, it's an ethical one, an environmental ethic one. And that's just one part of the bigger picture. AI also demands a huge amount of electricity, most of all still coming from fossil fuels. It requires specialized hardware, rare earth minerals, and energy-hungry servers. All this adds up to a carbon footprint that most people never see or use. And the irony is that we hear that AI will help us fight global warming and climate change. But if we're not honest about its impact on our air quality, our water quality, and our ecosystems, then we risk solving one problem while quietly creating a much bigger another problem. If we want a future where AI actually supports sustainability and not some weird matrix dystopia, then we have to start asking not just what it can do, but at what cost, and where do those line up? I'll end finally with this. I did not write this presentation at all. I edited it, I changed a little bit, but this whole presentation was all created in AI, and that is great because we can also train it to talk about itself in negative ways. So I have a few questions behind me.